Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to our DRA office hour, the first of the 21-22 school year. Thank you for joining us. Please mute your mic and turn your camera on and off. You probably won't be seeing us, but you can use the chat to introduce yourself, your name and your school, anything you want to learn from this session today. And at the end, we will have time for questions. We will be recording this presentation, so if you want to go back and look at it again or have other people in your school or office view it, it's available at the DRA website. So today's office hour is a back to school data review. And my name is Roger Regan, and I'm with Kevin Gilleland, and we're both in data research and accountability. And today we're going to talk about two applications that are available to all schools and staff called SOAR and FIFO. And I'm going to talk about SOAR, and Kevin's going to talk about FIFO. Okay. SOAR and FIFO both are accessible through the Wake ID portal. On the left side of the screen here, this is what I see when I open my Wake ID portal. The number and types of icons vary by each person's access rights. But this little arrow here shows Oasis, okay? If you don't have access or you don't see the Oasis icon on your screen, please view our video. We will put the link in the chat that will tell you how to get that on your screen so that you can access these applications. Okay, so from my Wake ID portal, I choose Oasis, and the next screen I would see is on the right. There's four icons here: DEARS, Files In, Files Out, which is FIFO, and then two other ones. Okay, for the purpose, you may not see all these. Again, it depends on your access rights. SOAR that I'm going to talk about today is available through this DEARS portal. When you click on that, you will see this. And DEARS, for those who don't know, is an abbreviation for, or an acronym for Data Extract and Reporting System. And there's a number of files in here and a number of databases. On the left side, and again, to repeat, it depends on what you have access to, but presumably when you do get access to SOAR, you will see a screen like this. On the left side, you will see system, teacher reports, school reports, and then district reports. Okay, SOAR is under this student rosters line, and you'll see one under teacher reports and one under school reports. SOAR actually stands for Student Overview Ad Hoc Report. Okay, and you'll notice when I clicked on student rosters, and you'll see several files here. Today, I'm going to use the main one that I would recommend that you use at the beginning of the year and throughout this school year. The other ones that are available to you have previous year's data, have a snapshot of your students from last year. But for the purpose of our demonstration today, I'm going to use the Student Overview Ad Hoc Report, SOAR. And the description says it's student data from multiple sources. Users can select which fields they want to display in the report. And once the file is downloaded, they can click on it. The second tab describes the fields in the report. Let me just briefly highlight before I actually go in to the actual demonstration. When you do click on the report, you will see a template like this. Okay, you will see Student Overview Ad Hoc Report. Depending on what school you're at, if you're at an elementary, you will see grades from -3 to 5, and those negative ones are preschool. So you may want to start with 0 as kindergarten. If you're at a year-round school, if you're interested in choosing a track, you can do that. If you leave all of those boxes unchecked, you will get data for all of your students, regardless of their grade. Okay, and the difference or the benefits of using these SOAR rosters compared to PowerSchool is that you can view all of your students in one place. You can also, once you export the file, you can look at subgroups by grade, by track, by race, by teacher, a lot of different variables. And then you can also use your sorting and filters and pivot tables to compare subgroups of students as well. So there are 7 categories of information or data available through SOARs: demographics, membership, attendance, academics, testing, assessment, survey, and LEP. Okay, now I'm going to actually go into DEERS and show you how you would use it. Okay, since I'm in central office, I have to actually select a school. At the school, you would just be able to see your school and your students only. Okay, so I've selected, for the purpose of this demonstration, Apex High School. Again, I'm going to go down to this Student Overview Ad Hoc Report, SOAR. Okay, when I click on that, you will see this sheet, the screen I just showed you. Okay, I'm not going to click any of the grades because I want to see all of my students in one place. Okay, under demographics, you see there's, about 30 variables here. After you have a chance to look at this, you can select which ones. Some of them you may not need or not. You may not need. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm not going to select ID or last name or student name for confidentiality reasons. But let me just, for the purpose of showing you how this works, I'm going to check gender, grade level, ethnicity, LEP, and SP group, special ed group. Okay. The other variables in here, you can see it shows where the student attended the previous year, the previous 3 years actually. Okay. Under membership and attendance, this will become important as the year progresses. If you want to look at your students, after 2 weeks or 1 month or 1 quarter, and the data in SOAR is linked directly to PowerSchool. So this is live data. When you're looking at attendance, whatever is in PowerSchool that has been entered in PowerSchool by your teachers, including grades, when you get up to, the quarterly grades, you will be able to get that data immediately through SOARs. I'm not going to check this today because we don't have any information for absences and attendance yet this year. Under academics, this is where you would find the grades for students on a lot of subjects. As you can see, dozens and dozens of subjects. Okay, so when you want to look at all your students in Q1, you can come to SOARs and do that. I'm not going to choose any of those right now. I'm going to go, let me show you. Okay, I showed you academics. Let me show you testing. Is where you would find all the EOGs and EOCs. Since I'm looking at a high school, I would choose, for the purpose of this, I'm just going to do EOC Math 1 achievement level, Biology achievement level, English 2 achievement level, and then Math 3. And you'll notice there are several different measures of these end of grade and end of course exams. There's scale scores, relative achievement levels, percentiles. And if you choose those, when you export and print out that, or look at that Excel sheet, you will be able to see descriptions of all of those. Okay, so that's what I'm going to choose for those. And you'll notice that the big category box I didn't check. Because it's looking at individual ones. If you were just to check that big category, you would get all of this. Okay. The other categories in are assessments, and depending on your grade level, there could be some formative assessments, Illuminate, and then we have a PSAT here. There's also some student survey information from last year, several questions that have been extracted and sent by DRA to this application. And then finally, there's some LEP access test scores. So I've just chosen a few. When you're done selecting the variables that you want to see in your Excel file, you go and you click on Export to File. And it creates a file very quickly, well, relatively quickly. Okay, it's done showing that file. And let me show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is for Apex High School. So the rows, each row is a student, and I didn't choose ID or name. I started with gender. The columns are the variables I chose. So gender, grade level, ethnicity, LEP, SP group, and then the EOC achievement levels. And if you scroll down, you'll see at this point in time, Apex High School has 2,401 students. So that's what you would get. And then at this point, you would save it and you can manipulate this file. You can sort it the way you want. You can filter it. You can create a pivot table and answer some questions. So for monitoring and for analysis and research, it's very useful. Okay, I'm going to close that now, and I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint, and I'm going to turn the presentation over to Kevin Gilleland.
Well, thank you, Roger. So now we're going to review our second data source that we wanted to share today. And that data source is referred to as FIFO. It's an internally created application, stands for Files In, Files Out. It replaces the long-used Quickr application that we use for file storage and retrieval, centrally and with schools. So the first thing is, where do you find FIFO? So FIFO is located in OASIS, and if you need instructions at the school level or at the district level, you can find those in the chat. Katie has placed those there for you. So who has access to FIFO? So if you're in a school, it's basically administrators who have access. So you'll see principals and APs, counselors, data managers, test coordinators. If you're centrally located in the central office, then by default, the area superintendents have access, although through the help desk request that you can get access if you're a central office administrator and are approved. So what's included in FIFO? Well, the same things that have been included in Quickr in the past. So you'll find your accountability results. You'll find goal summary reports, for example, survey results. You'll find standardized tests like ACT. So just like you would have gone to Quickr for those things, now you can go to FIFO. If you don't see something that you expect to be there, then what you can do is you can contact Data Research and Accountability, and we'll make sure that we plug that hole by uploading the file for you. So when you go into OASIS, instead of clicking on the deers icon, you'll click on the icon that says Files In, Files Out. In this case, in that picture, it's the middle icon. And this is the screen that you'll get to. So I'm going to switch over and give you a demonstration. Okay, so here we are at the screen where you'll click in onto the Files In, Files Out icon. And here's the screen that we just saw the screenshot of. So I want to direct your attention first to the menu on the left. So it may look the same as this menu, or it may look different depending on where you're located. But you'll see there's a main, a district, a school, and an admin section. Today we're going to look at the file retrieval links under school and under district. So let's start with file retrieval school. So immediately you can see this structure pop up. It's not populated with any data. For me, because I'm located centrally, I'll have access to any number of schools. For you, if you're school-based, you'll only see your school here. So I'm just going to pretend, well, like Roger did, I'll pretend like I'm Apex High. And what you'll see in the second grouping box here, you'll see all categories, okay? So this will include all kinds of high school data categories that we've uploaded or have provided data for in the past. And then you'll see the box for year. So for the 21-22 school year, there aren't too many things that have been uploaded yet. But for prior years, typically going back to 15-16, you'll see many files. So let's just pick, let's say 18-19. Okay, the next part of the screen I want to talk to you about is how many files you'll see per screen. So here it's set at 10, but there are 56 entries for all the categories for Apex High. So if you want, you can just switch this to 50, 100, whatever you want. So you'll get a single screen scroll for all of your files. And then I want you to notice the headings that you are helpful to you for sorting and searching. So here we have the category that the file is in. We have the file name. Usually it's going to have your school number and the year, and then a description of what it is. The type of file, so it could be PDF or Excel, or you'll even see RTF for a Word document. A download icon, which also can be, you can also download it from here or from here. So there are 3 different things you could click to download that one file. And then a column that says uploaded, and that gives you a sense of how long ago a file was uploaded. So if you roll over it, it'll tell you exactly when. So you can see, oh, this hasn't been updated yet. Oh, this was updated just a week ago. So in order to search and organize, you can use these up and down arrow icons to be able to alphabetize by category or file name. So if we did it by category, we would just click that and you'll see ACT pops to the top there. Or if you wanted to use the search box, you could search, let's say, on grade level proficiency, GLP, and hit enter. You'll see it popped right up. So this would be 18-19 GLP. And just like Roger demonstrated, you can click on that file name. It'll immediately start downloading. And then you can just click on that and you get to see what file you have. So here we have several tabs worth of a file that you're probably pretty familiar with from our department. So here is, the first tab is data, and then you go on through with your bar charts. So I'm going to close that. And now I'm going to go over and I'm going to show you file retrieval for the district level. So typically the files that are uploaded here and maintained here have all of our schools in it, or let's say all the high schools or every single school. It's not just for one school. So for example, let's say we pick, let's just say the first category, ACT. You'll see that the most recent year so far that pops up for this is 1920. And here you can see from the title that we have the ACT seniors benchmark results from DPI. If we go to 18-19, you'll see a little bit different title. So this is the juniors, and typically that's the one-year spreadsheet that DPI does produce for us for our juniors. They didn't do that in 1920 because of the disruption. So that's why we saw seniors for 1920. And the same thing occurs here, where we can click on this file name. And then when we open this, we'll see exactly what DPI sent to the district. And we have highlighted Wake County Schools numbers right below the states. And then you can scroll through and find your schools or other schools numbers for these benchmarks and scores. Okay, and that concludes the demonstration for FIFO. So I'll stop sharing.
Very good. So actually that concludes our demonstrations and presentations, and we would be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time. And if you want to take time to practice and get in touch with us later, you're welcome to do that.
I have a quick question. If we were to use DEERS and select everything in every single category from demographics to grades to testing, would that yield that hundreds column long spreadsheet that we used to get in Quickr? Is that essentially what we would get?
Yes, it is. And I believe at the high school level, it would probably be about 214 columns worth of data. Some students obviously wouldn't have data for all of those columns, but yeah, you would be getting a lot more data. And it'll take a little longer to download something like that, but if you're familiar with that format, and then you can manipulate it, you can delete columns that you decide you don't need. That's a quick way to do it.
Thank you.
Are there any questions in the chat?
Nothing waiting for you in the chat. So I'll stop recording if there's nothing else.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to present the new school year data sources, SOAR and FIFO. I would like to remind you that we are going to be doing these DRA office hours once a month, and that our next session is scheduled for September 21st, and it's called Evaluating Data After a Pandemic. We will always be doing these on a Tuesday at 3:30, so the third Tuesday of every month at 3:30, if you want to put that on your calendar. And we would appreciate if you tell others about this. And there is on the DRA website a place where you can give us some feedback. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Kevin or anyone in DRA. We'd be glad to help you. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great school year.